The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read. Your source for news, politics, sports, and all things trending. Here's your host, Marcus Gentry.
Is it possible that some of the billionaires in the United States could, as the billionaires in the South did in the 1850s, I mean, they weren't billionaires, but the oligarchs in the South did in the 1850s, could they start a second civil war?
And welcome to the Daily Read, and I am your host, Marcus Gentry. Now, we've been off for a week or two. I've had in-laws and family members at the house, and I want to apologize to all my listeners on YouTube and my podcast because, you know, I try to get good, positive information, things that you're going to need to survive and what's coming. And I hate to take breaks off like that because, you know, when you take breaks off, you know, people go other places to get their information. And I want you to stay right here to get your information. Now, that person you just heard at the beginning of the show, his name is Thom Hartmann. And I've been following along with Thom Hartmann for a while now. And the man knows what he's talking about, people. For today's show, we're gonna go in depth on this show that he did about could there be a possible civil war if they remove Donald Trump or if he loses the next election. I think it's a possibility. I highly doubt it, but it is a possibility, people. And the only thing I can tell you minorities is watch yourself. You know, you don't have to get caught up in they call it free balling, you know, running around like a chicken with your head cut off. Understand what's going on around you and, you know, move accordingly. That's what my friends used to tell me, my older friends used to tell me a long time ago. He said, young man, partner, man, you moving kind of funny around here. You know, people in the streets, they know what that means. That means you moving out of character. Some of us need to be aware of what's going on. Because if you're not aware of what's going on, people can do anything to you. A lot of us are so caught up in the fashion and the Real Housewives and all kinds of other stuff, man. And then when you ask them simple things about what's going on in their communities or what's going on in the government and how it affects you, they can't tell you nothing. They don't know, they don't understand. And that's not a good thing. You know? And like I was always saying, that this Donald Trump character didn't pop up out of nowhere. This is something that's been plotted and planned since the Civil War, when they lost. You can't take this country with guns and bombs. There's too many guns and bombs running around this country. You got to slowly take a country over through politics. Russia understands this, people. Russia knows about it. The senators and the congressmen, they know about it. Everybody knows that you cannot take this country with guns and bombs. It's not going to work. It'll go up in flames. But you can take this country back or take it over through politics, using its own constitution against it. Now, I want you to listen to segments of this man's interview. It's deep, people. And if you can, if you're on YouTube, see, I got a lot of YouTube followers. And if you're on YouTube, find Thom Hartmann and look at some of his videos. The man's deep. See, I call them the sons and daughters of the Confederacy. He call them oligarchs. You see, oligarchs is basically wealthy people in a country that runs the country. They don't run the country as far as making legislative agendas. They run the country by funding the politicians who make policies. That's what Russia has. Russia has a president, Vladimir Putin, but they have hundreds of multi-millionaires and multi-billionaires that really run that country. And that's basically what America is turning into. The millionaires and billionaires set policy. And the policy is around them. It's not around the normal people of today's society. It's around them. So I want to get into this next segment on Thom Hartmann's review in his interview of what he did, where he talks about the oligarchs are trying to seize the legislature, the judiciary, which is the judges, and the media. And all of this falls in place, people. They already took the media because Fox News is the most watched news in the United States. Even though CNN and MSNBC give you more of a balanced news, Fox News is more watched by people. And I'm going to get into that too, because there's a reason why that is. The judiciary. They've put more judges in place than any other president that has ever been. And what do judges do? Judges rule on cases that affects your brown and black lives. Okay? So they already done took over the media with fake Fox News. They got Fox News in their pocket. They done took over the judiciary by placing judges in key places all across this country and on the Supreme Court. And now they're trying to take over the House and the Senate. Once they get all three of them, that means the Confederacy, or what Thom Hartmann calls the oligarchs, are going to run this country. And most of them are white people. They got a few black stooges, you know, like the Kardashians and Kanye West. They got a few black stooges running around here, you know. But it's white people. That's who they are. Even white people will tell you. This guy, Thom Hartmann, he would tell you they're white people. And they have an agenda to keep the power and the wealth of this country in their pockets. Now we're finna go into this next clip of Thom Hartmann and the things he said about the oligarchs, what I call the Confederacy, sons and daughters of the Confederacy.
In this article that I wrote that's up over at TruthDig, it was on Raw Story and Alternate for a while, but I think it's scrolled off, but it's still on TruthDig, where I'm asking, could an oligarchy of the morbidly rich basically overthrow our democracy or create a second civil war, literally a second civil war, where people are shooting each other, as the Atlantic is hypothesizing? And, you know, I pointed out that to shift a democracy into an oligarchy requires three basic things: control of the media, control of the legislative branch, and control of the judiciary. And the oligarchs in this country have succeeded in all three of those. We know from the 2014 study that Gillens and Page from Princeton and Northwestern published that the desires of the bottom 90% of Americans are not being turned into legislation and haven't been since the 1980s. The Reagan Revolution was genuinely a revolution.
All right, we back, people. Like I said, if you listen to what Thom Hartmann said, now this guy is established. He's not like me. I'm basically new on the scene, but you know, I've been involved myself personally for a long time. I remember Superwolf down in Jackson, Tennessee. I was on his campaign to put him in office as the mayor of Jackson, Tennessee, because I thought he would do a good job, especially for minorities. So this ain't something new to me, but as far as being out in public about it is new. Okay? And I can remember getting in the van and driving around, picking up people, taking them down to the voting booths because they didn't have rides and things of that nature. This is the type of campaign he ran, to where, you know, he would literally hire or rent vans and people's cars and get people down to the voting booths to vote for him. But as he said, in that last clip that I played of Thom Hartmann that, these oligarchs are serious and they're a serious threat to the United States because they're trying to implant a significant outlook on how this country should be run, and in their eyes it should be run by white people. And I'm never going to ever say that all white people are racist or bigots, because they're not. Some of these people are in the dark just like some of you. Some of you people are in the dark. They're playing chess, we playing checkers. I'm here to wake you up. I'm here to wake you up, people. And towards the end of this program, we're also going to get into, and this is for my Masonic brothers, what role will Masons play into putting a stop to this? Because we're going to talk about Theodore Roosevelt later on. But for this whole first segment, we're going to talk about the oligarchs, how America has already turned into a oligarch country where, they used to, what we call, foreign countries call them oligarchs. That's a foreign word. We call these people robber barons. The wealthy people who own factories and plants in your local community, and they hire everybody in the community so they feel like they're untouchable. Their kids can go out and rape somebody or murder somebody, and they'll go down there and tell the judge and the DA and the sheriff, don't arrest my son or my daughter, because I'm the one who finances everything in this county. Those type people. Those type people that call themselves privileged, they basically are the funders of some of these politicians in America. He calls them oligarchs. Like I said, I call them the Confederacy, sons and daughters of Confederacy, and robber barons. That's what they are. And what he's saying is this country has already turned into a country that's run by oligarchs. But if Donald Trump stays in office for 4 more years, it's going to get worse. It's going to be ran by tyrannical oligarchs. And now let's break that down for my people who like to break it down. Okay? The country's being ran by oligarchs. That means you already got multimillionaires and billionaires in this country who feel like they're privileged and do whatever they want to. But they stay in their area, the Hamptons, Beverly Hills, and things of that nature. But when it becomes a tyrannical country ran by tyrannical oligarchs, which is going to be worser, now they're going to be coming into your home and your community. Instead of telling you stay over there, they're going to start coming putting their foot on your neck. Putting their foot on your neck, and it's going to be more police brutality, more police shooting unarmed black men in the back. Things of that nature. Listen to this next clip of Thom Hartmann. Listen to this next clip, people.
It began the process of turning America from a functioning democracy into a full-blown oligarchy. And now, in my opinion, we're in the process of moving from an oligarchy into a tyrannical oligarchy, an oligarchy that has a police state attached to it. And we'll see, as Bill Barr, I guess December 9th is the date that he said he's going to announce the outcome of the investigations.
All right, we back, people. Now, what Thom Hartmann just described is a tyrannical oligarchy running this country. Okay? It should scare the hell out of all of you. This is serious. You can't put a price on this stuff, people. You can't put a level of how serious this is. You can't put a level on it. Like I say, they fascinate us with all this other stuff that's putting blinders on us. Street life, drugs, You know, I wouldn't even doubt if they, you know, like I said, I don't have anything wrong. I don't think nothing's wrong with marijuana if you choose to smoke it, because I drink. I might enjoy some brown liquor every now and then. If that's your choice to participate in your high, or how you want to spend your free time, you know, that's fine. Do it. But my thing is, it's a lot of distraction. It's a lot of distraction. You know, some of these TV programs, you know, and this is gonna trip you out for some of my people that like play video games. I play video games. I'm thinking about starting a gamer channel for my YouTubers out there who like certain action games. You know, they get on Twitch and some of the media outlets that walk through games and things like that. I'm always looking for new avenues to capture the attention of the younger generation, because, you know, I'm basically doing what they doing. They capturing your attention with high taxes. They're gonna take your guns. The Mexicans are coming to invade your country. And the whole time they capturing your attention with all this nonsense, they feed you racism at the same time. And this goes to my white brothers and sisters out there. You gotta look out for this stuff, people. They giving you all the things that make you mad. And the whole time, with the left hand, they giving you all the stuff that the government's making you mad about. They feeding you racism with the other hand. That's what they doing. And I decided to pick up the same pace. I'm gonna do the same thing. You know. Yeah, I get on video games with some of these people out here. I play games with them. You know, I talk to them over the internet, and then I let them know, hey man, check out my show. You know, go check out my show. Some of them check out my show, they get back like, man, you deep, bro. You know, man, you deep. But I also let them know I like my leisure time too. You know, I like my leisure time. I don't mind it. But as long as you come to me and you know the real. What upsets me is people who spend leisure time doing drinking and smoking and partying and kicking it, always on something crazy, but they don't have a clue of what's going on. I'm finna get into this first commercial break, and when we get back, we're gonna go into further detail, because like I said, towards the end of the show, we're gonna try to figure out, like Theodore Roosevelt, he put a stop to a lot of the robber barons in the 20s and 40s and things of that nature. You know, we're gonna go into in depth on what role are the Masons gonna play in this, because eventually one of the most powerful organizations in America will rise up and put a stop to this nonsense. They will. You know, we're gonna go into in depth on that too. We'll be back with the Daily Read.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
Hi, I'm your host, Marcus Gentry from the Daily Read.
Hi, and I'm Shantae Gentry from Dreadhead Cutie.
Good.
Oh, I ain't supposed to talk in there.
You can talk. This is our slight commercial, letting you people out there that watch me on YouTube, Facebook, know that it's important to vote. Your vote counts, people. What you think about that?
Yeah, for Bernie Sanders.
I like Bernie Sanders. He's pretty good, but I still think Joe Biden has a better chance of winning. But anyway,
Bernie Sanders 2020.
Well, this is our take on voting. You guys get out there, register to vote, because your vote counts.
Every vote counts.
Peace.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
Where's this going to go? Where does it go next? In my opinion, if Trump is reelected, the beginning of the police state that you're seeing right now with Bill Barr ordering investigations into people like James Comey, the former FBI director, people who investigated Trump, will expand. And anybody in government who has dared to defy Trump will be taken down. It's already happened within the Republican Party. Look at Justin Amash, the Republican from Grand Rapids, Michigan, who has, had to leave his party. But it will start happening in a far more serious and consequential way.
All right, people, and we're back with the Daily Read. And that clip you just heard was a clip of Thom Hartmann. He was talking about the slave patrols, which is what modern day people call the police, the police department. Like I say, not all policemen are racist, not all policemen are down with what's going on and everything, but some of these people need to know the history of that. You need to know the history of that, And I'm not saying policemen aren't needed, because there are some people that would hit your mama, your daughter across the head and drag off in the bushes. You got people out here like that. They have no sense of morality. So, yes, it is needed. But just like anything else in America, when it comes to government and officials, you have an element of the Confederacy and their beliefs that have infiltrated it. And you got to understand that and recognize it. Because if you don't understand it and recognize it, man, you doomed. There's no help for you. And we got to realize that your kids is on the line. I got a daughter serving right now in the military. And I already know if a call get called to where, they talking about martial law and putting minorities in chains and bondage and all that, black folks in the military and some of the police departments are gonna rise up. They're not gonna stand for this stuff. It ain't gonna happen. So like I said, Thomas Hartmann was just talking about the slave patrols and what it meant back then. Because the previous show I did with how the Civil War affects today's politics, that was on another show that I had did. This is like a revamp of that because I found out some more information from Thom Hartmann. This is like a revamp of that show. And basically what he's saying is that now this is an established show. This man is he's not like me. He's not just now within the last month or two getting on and doing his thing. This man is done wrote plenty of books on quite possibly the downfall of America. We got to understand this. This is a white man. Some of you don't want to take my word for it because I'm black. I'm just not getting on and doing my own show. So I'm giving you somebody who's already established. If you ain't watching Fox News, you might not know none of this information. Because if you watching Fox News, because that's fake. Those people are part of the plan. Remember what he said at the beginning of the show. You take over the judiciary, the legislature, and the media, and you can take over this country. And that's what's going on right now. They playing chess. I want you to listen to another clip of Thomas Hartmann, where he talks about Theodore Roosevelt and the role Masons played in stopping all of this back in the 1920s and 30s and 40s. Because, they have a belief in equality among peoples and charity and morality. And he recognized what was going on and he put a stop to it. So I'm going to play this next clip where he talks about Theodore Roosevelt, and I've been to his lodge. Well, one of his lodges. He was a member of a lot of lodges, but there's a Theodore Roosevelt Memorial Lodge in North Dakota, and it has a lot of antiques and things in there. His picture, his rifle, bullets that he shot when he went hunting. I'm talking about it's almost like a museum. It's a beautiful place, people. Beautiful place. I've been in there, and you know, it goes to show you that there are some people, white people, who ain't down with this, and they willing to stand up and stop what's going on. But is it too late? So I want y'all to listen to this next clip from Thom Hartmann.
But the point that I make in this article is that we have been here before. That the Civil War was about oligarchs rising up and then creating a police state. In the South, there were a couple of thousand plantation owners who basically controlled the economy of the South. They were the South's oligarchs. I mean, we know the names of many of them from the 1700s. Patrick Henry, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, right? These were oligarchs, Southern oligarchs. Well, by the 1850s, they had become massively richer. The South actually controlled more wealth when you consider the value of the human beings who had been enslaved by these Southern oligarchs. In addition to all the other wealth of the South actually controlled more wealth in the 1850s than did the North. Now, that flipped with the Industrial Revolution. By the 1880s, that had completely changed. But in the 1840s and 1850s, that was very much the case. And the North made their money selling the products of the South, principally cotton, or using the products of the South, making cotton into clothing in the mills up, through Massachusetts and New Hampshire, New York State.
All right, we back, people. Now, by the 1920s and 40s, I talked about this on my other show, how the Civil War affects today's politics, because, like I said in that show, they never cut the head off the snake. They never cut the head off the snake, people. And that snake is alive and well, and it's floating through our communities, not just in the South anymore. It's all in the North, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan. All of those states were bastions of the Union Army, who fought against the Confederacy. But they've infiltrated. Remember what I said, them people never got executed. Them people never got locked up for life for rebelling against the United States. They got sent home after signing that document saying they would never take up arms against the United States. They would never go back into politics. But those people were not neutered. They had kids and grandkids, and generation of these people in the South jumped into politics. Generations of these people became millionaires and billionaires, started running news programs and things of that nature. Like I said something about Jeffrey Beauregard Sessions, the ex-senator of Alabama, who was Donald Trump's attorney general. I said something to him previously on one of my previous shows. Listen to that name, Jeffrey Beauregard Sessions. That's a throwback to the Civil War. This is not a coincidence. These people are serious. 2 and 2 still means 4. Not on Fox News it doesn't. But 2 and 2 still means 4, people. You got to understand this. These people are not playing games. They serious. I want to go into this next clip because I'm playing this because some people might think that I'm some type of conspiracy theorist who stands alone in talking about this, but I'm not. I'm not. It's well known among the media, real media, not that fake news, but real media. It's well known that this is what's going on. So I want y'all to listen to this next clip.
So the oligarchs in the South, in order to enforce their oligarchy, created a police state. They had these slave patrols that the Second Amendment provided for. And they, you know, it was a terror state, terrorizing the individuals who'd been enslaved. Virtually all of them, of course, being African Americans. There were a few Native Americans and there were a few white people, but the vast majority, 99.9%, African Americans.
All right, people, we're back. Now, as I said, Thomas Hartmann just got through explaining to you people how, you know, Theodore Roosevelt stood up through the legislation that they passed to stop the robber barons, what Thomas Hartmann called the oligarchs, but I call them robber barons or sons and daughters of the Confederacy. You know, it's all of these people are the same people. Don't get the terminology of who they are confused. They all the same people. They floating around you. They're your next door neighbors. You know, you might see them out in the yard, you know, with their kids and everything. But on the inside of their bedroom, they got a Confederate flag hanging up. You know, outside on the front stoop, they might have an American flag hung up. But inside the house or inside their car, on the license plate, they got a big old Dixie, American Dixie flag, you know, posted up. Or they got the picture of a snake, don't tread on me. You know, y'all seen it. Y'all seen it. Y'all seen it. You know, all you got to do is pay attention. You know, pay attention. I'm giving you the real. That's what I do on my show. That's why people love my show. Because I keep it real with you. You might see that old snake, don't tread on me flag. You know, they let you know this is what they are. Don't tread on them. They feel like somebody's walking all over them. They feel like America's being taken from them. You know, Thom Hartmann just explained it to you. He does a better job than me because, like I said, he's more experienced in bringing you things of this nature than I am because I just got started in this. Give me a few years. Give me a few years and thousands of hours of research, and I'm going to bring it to you every time. I'm going to bring it to you because this is serious. This is not a joke. I'm going to go into the next commercial break, and when we come back, you know, in the third segment, we're going to talk about, you know, what role may the Masons play, because, you know, we try to stay out of politics. You know, we try to stay out of that religion and politics and things of that nature. You know, but we're a charitable organization, and we do good work in the communities. But a lot of our presidents were Masons, you know, and charity and being equal among men, you know, it's like, and morality, especially morality. There's nothing about what's going on around Donald Trump morally correct. Nothing. The man's corrupt from his toenails all the way up to his hair. He's corrupt. There's nothing has morality even do with him or his administration. Locking kids in cages, saying things about you know, grabbing women by the pussy or vagina, excuse me, you know, things of that nature. You know. So we finna go into this last commercial break, and when we come back, we're gonna finish things off on this last segment of the Daily Read. Thank you.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
Hi, I'm your host, Marcus Gentry from the Daily Read.
Hi, and I'm Shantae Gentry from Dreadhead Cutie.
Good.
Oh, I ain't supposed to talk in there.
You can talk. This is our slight commercial, letting you people out there that watch me on YouTube, Facebook know that it's important to vote. Your vote counts, people. What you think about that?
Yeah, for Bernie Sanders.
I like Bernie Sanders. He's pretty good, but I still think Joe Biden has a better chance of winning. But anyway.
Bernie Sanders 2020.
Well, this is our take on voting. You guys get out there, register to vote because your vote counts.
Every vote counts.
Peace.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.
And those oligarchs were looking at the North, and the North was getting richer and richer because of manufacturing. I mean, the Industrial Revolution is generally considered to have started in the 1860s, 1870s. But really, I mean, we had railroads going in the 1840s, 1830s, 1840s. We had, we were making steel. We were certainly mining coal. A lot of that was in the North. And so the Southern oligarchs were looking at the potential for the rise of oligarchs in the North. This was before Carnegie and Rockefeller and all. Those were all in the 1880s, 1890s. So this was before the rise of the Northern oligarchs. The Southern oligarchs looked at the North and they said, pretty soon you're going to have Northern oligarchs and we're going to be in conflict with them. What the hell? Let's just split off our own country and continue to run the South as, not as a democracy, but as an oligarchy with a police state.
All right, people, and we're back with the Daily Read, and I am your host, Marcus Gentry. As I said on one of my previous shows, in the 80s, the Dixie Democrats basically have already had a full flight of the Democratic Party, and they ran right into the embrace of the Republican Party. Ronald Reagan, which is still to this day the darling of Republican politics, was the first president to totally and fully embrace the Dixie Democrats, all the bigots and the racists that came along with it. And the policies that he enacted, especially against minorities, is never talked about. Like I said in my previous show, when I broke it down to the people like me to break it down to you, Ronald Reagan was the brainchild of years and years of the Dixie Democrats, the bigots who lost the war, the Civil War. He was the final piece to the puzzle that put in place politics that is damaging for minorities in this country, not just talking about black people. We had a show about that, how some blacks got it in their mind that, it's the Mexicans' fight or it's the Hispanics' fight. It's not their fight too. It's ludicrous. But that goes back to the conditioning of, what these people have put in the brains of some of our young black men and women. Straight narcissism. But this next clip, this is the last clip I'm gonna play of Thom Hartmann, where he talks a little bit about Ronald Reagan and how the Republicans who have been taken over by because like I say, the minorities basically infiltrated and took over the Democrat Party, because the Democrat Party was, like I always say, Republicans had a little bigotry in them too back then, but their bigotry was different. Their bigotry was bigotry that says, okay, we whites are gonna stay over here, you blacks stay over there and make as much money as you want to make, and we'll do business with you, but we're gonna keep ourselves separate. That was Republicans. Democrats was the type that you blacks ain't even human. You blacks, we don't want you to have nothing except for what we give you, scraps, even down to the food, chitterlings. I love chitlins, by the way. You know, I like to keep it light, people. I love chitlins. I ain't gonna lie. Wings. We turn scraps that the bigots gave us that they didn't want to eat. They want the breast of the chicken. You know, they cut off the legs and the wings and gave it to the slaves. You know, what little meat you can get off of that. You know, they had the whole pig and threw the guts away. We found a way to open up the guts, skin them, clean them up real good, and cook them and make a meal out of it. What we call chitterlings today. A lot of us had it for Thanksgiving. I had a plate of them for Thanksgiving. I still like chitlins, even though I know the history of it. But that's the thing that I always tell people. Know your history. Know your history. And y'all, my listeners got to excuse me. That's my old lady's dog in the background. He's outside raising Cain. But you know, like I said, know your history, because if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. And when you're doomed to repeat it, the people who are helping you repeat the history are gonna make it better for them the next time. Now, and I'm gonna break that down for you. A civil war happened. For the people like me to break it down for you. A civil war happened. They didn't win because they tried to take the country with guns and bombs. It didn't happen. So they're trying to make it better the second time around by conning their way in with a major con man, Donald Trump. They're trying to ease their way in slowly by complaining about taxes and how Hispanics are taking over the country and you can't get no jobs and they want to take your guns. The whole time they preaching hatred at the same time. You got to understand this, people. The Confederacy is still here, alive and well. And I'm going to play this last clip of Thom Hartmann, how he talks about Ronald Reagan, the so-called darling, the cowboy, you know, of the Republican Party.
And then came World War I. And then after World War I, the oligarchs said, okay, let's try it again. And they sponsored Warren Harding in the election of 1920 to become president under the platform of cut taxes at the top. The top tax rate was 91% at that time. Cut taxes and have, you know, less government in business and more business in government. In other words, privatize and deregulate. And Harding won. And for 9 years, we had rule, actually for 12 years, we had rule by Republicans and oligarchs. We were running as an oligarchy during what was referred to as the Roaring 20s. And it was roaring for the top people at the top. I mean, you know, 90 some odd percent of the stock was owned by the very, very rich. While wages at the bottom actually stagnated during the Roaring 20s. Average working people saw their wages were flat or went down, just like now. And then, of course, came the great crash in 1929, and that led to Franklin Roosevelt, who fought back the oligarchs and turned us back into a democracy. And we were a democracy, in my opinion, right up until 1981, when Ronald Reagan was elected with money from the oligarchs because of the 76 and 78 Supreme Court decisions, Buckley and First National Bank, that said that when oligarchs own politicians, keep in mind the 3 steps to starting an oligarchy, to flipping a democracy into an oligarchy, are seizing control of the media, seizing control, legalizing bribery so you can seize control of the legislature, and seizing control of the courts.
All right, and we back, people. And like I said, today's show, I want to give you guys a review over Thom Hartmann. The guy has a good show. I love the show. And you don't just listen to my show. I want you to listen to my show, but don't, especially in the minority communities, I want you to listen to my show. But you can best believe I'm not going to bring you no garbage. If I tell you some good stuff, man, I'm going to give you some stuff you can research on your own. He wrote plenty of books. Check out some of Thom Hartmann books. The man is he's spot on about this stuff. And I love his show. I watch it all the time. The man's a beast. Some of y'all need to be aware and prepared for what's going on. Watch yourself, because it's getting serious out here. The bigots have literally taken over the White House and the administration. They've placed judges in power all across. And when you place a federal judge in power, he's there for life until he either dies or get impeached. That means you got 10, 20, 30 years of people ruling in your area, your district, against you. You're not paying attention to this. That means if you feel like somebody was a bigot at your company, a racist, and he fired you for no reason at all, you want to sue him, and you take it to federal court, they're going to throw it out. They're going to take one look at your color, your skin, and they're going to throw it out. They're going to toss it out. So they taking over. Remember what Thom Hartmann said at the beginning of the show. To take over a country, you can't do it with bombs and guns, people. You take over the judiciary, the legislator, because the legislator make laws. The judiciary interpret the laws. I'm giving y'all a brief economic. I'm giving you economics here, 101. How things is run in the country. The legislator, which is the Senate and Congress, make laws. The administration or the presidency, they enact the laws, and the judiciary looks at the Constitution and makes sure everything is done legal. So they've already taken over the administration, which is the White House. They've already taken over the legislator, because they got all of these congressmen and all of these senators lying, talking about Donald Trump is not a criminal, a crook. So they've already taken over the administration and the legislator, and now they're putting judges on the bench to try and take over that too. They already, and then they got the media. They got one of the most watched news stations in America, Fox News, going along with this stuff. Now, this is the type of stuff that they did in Nazi Germany with Hitler, where they had all the books and all the publications saying that Hitler was good, when the man was a racist too, a murderer. You got to be prepared. You got to understand what's going on, people. So, until next week, I got a lot of things lined up for the next coming weeks, and I should get. Let me call Brother Porter, see what he has on sports. I'm gonna do one last segment, and I might do this live. Matter of fact, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go live on Facebook, and we're gonna do the sports live on Facebook, and I'm gonna call Brother Porter up and get his take on what's going on in the sports world. But I'm gonna end the show, because my show is an hour long and I'm running against the time. But I'm gonna end my show today on that note. Keep your head up and search out the truth, find it for legal, lawful information, and understand what's going on, how things is moving around you, because these are dangerous times. You might not think it is, but these are dangerous times, people. And this is the Daily Read, and I am your host, Marcus Gentry. Go to YouTube, people. Hit that subscribe button.
So we had the railroad oligarchs in the 1880s, and the steel oligarchs, and the coal oligarchs, and the oil oligarchs reaching out and bribing members of Congress, trying to seize control of the legislative branch, bribing members of the judiciary, the Supreme Court, trying to seize control of the Supreme Court. And of course, they already had, strong control of the electoral processes through gerrymandering and things like that. And we fought back. We fought back with the Sherman Antitrust Act in 1890. And then 11 years later, Teddy Roosevelt became president. And Teddy Roosevelt used that act to break up these big corporations and slow down the oligarchs, the rise of the oligarchs. And then William Howard Taft after him, the two progressive Republican presidents did this.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.